Yeah, the big red button. Okay. Today, Shakeyburns, we have Pink Floyd. I will heard the name, Pink Floyd.
Hey.
And we have Time.
Do you?
We have, well, about 2 hours I would say. We have Time by Pink Floyd. Do you know the song? It's from their famous album, The Dark Side of the Moon. And it starts with like lots and lots of clock ticking. Okay, you may listen to it later. But it's good because if you see it for the first time and you don't know the song, it has more to tell you. So you don't have those limitations. Okay, so let's read it. Time by Pink Floyd. Ticking away the moments that make up a dull day. Frightened waste the hours in an offhand way. Kicking around on a piece of ground in your hometown. Waiting for someone or something to show you the way. Tired of lying in the sunshine, staying home to watch the rain. You're young and life is long and there's time to kill today. And then one day you find 10 years have gone behind you. No one told you when to run. You missed the starting gun. And you run to catch up with the sun, but it's sinking, racing around to come up behind you again. The sun is the same in a relative way, but you're older, shorter of breath, and one day closer to death. Every year is getting shorter, never seem to find the time. Plans that either come to naught or half a page of scribbled lines. Hanging on in quiet desperation is the English way. The time is gone, the song is over. I thought I had something more to say. Home, home again. I like to be here when I can. When I come home cold and tired, it's good to warm my bones beside the fire. Far away, across the field, the tolling of the iron bell calls the faithful to their knees to hear the softly spoken magic spell. So obviously, as it's a song, it's one whole with its music, obviously. And as we look at it, we should keep in mind that it's not just warmth, it's also a song, because music obviously carries some meaning and some emotion and some feeling with it, maybe more than words themselves. So, if you don't know the song, then basically it starts with all those clock
ticking,
and then you have a very long instrumental bit, and then you have these lyrics. They're like very quiet, very detached, soft. So it's not like they're shouting, panicking, they're telling the story very calmly. Which, okay. So just as we read it...
There are many of them, aren't there? So it's not just one person, named Floyd.
Pink Floyd. Oh, there's more than one person in the band.
Okay.
So, but if you take out the words, just look at the words. What do we see here? What do we feel here? Poetry is strange as it's written down. What it lacks is intonation. We don't know how to reflect intonation in written form. And that's a very important part of our understanding. When we listen to each other, then a huge part of what we perceive comes not from words, but from all else: movements, gestures, intonation, eyes, face, voice. So reading poetry is always really strange because you have this huge, large missing part which you reconstruct. Which is why it's good to look at songs from time to time, because you know the intonation. Okay. So if we just look at the meaning, at the words, how does it make you feel? Is it a happy poem? Is it a sad poem? Is it a funny poem? Scary?
It's
boring?
a poem that calls for a sort of meditation. As you read it, you reflect on some of the points raised by Pink Floyd, and the overall feeling is not sad. It's not happy either, or maybe as I read it, my feeling changes depending on the stanza I read. It might be a bit more problematic, a bit more difficult in terms of the atmosphere in the very first and second and third and even fourth stanza, and then it seems to change, and homecoming means something happy. Although, as I read it, I have second thoughts. Maybe this sweet home isn't that sweet after all.
It is indeed interesting. We have two different parts. We can see they're different even if we just look at it.
They're graphically different.
Yeah, and actually sometimes the last bit is attributed to the previous song on the album, like it's continuing the previous song on the album. But sometimes it's like it's one whole with that one, which is like traditionally. Yeah, but we'll have a look at it. Oh, are there any little mnemonic there?
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot.
Okay. So basically, in one word, what is the main subject of this song?
Well, if you want 2 words, memento mori.
Yeah.
They can be wrong, but that's my initial understanding.
Yeah, memento mori, indeed. So, as you probably know, it's a long tradition, considering that they have a Latin phrase to express it. And indeed, so why do we need to come back to that idea again and again, memento mori?
One obvious reason is that we are all going to die, as the person trapped in the lift said.
Again, it's like you don't write songs about, remember to wash your face in the morning.
And the problem with the comparison is, well, we're all going to die. Unlike animals, you say I'm wrong, okay, but unlike animals, we are capable of perceiving the fact we are all going to die, while they do not really perceive that idea, and they do not reflect on the time frame between their birth and their death. Again, that's something you are going to disagree. You're going to disagree.
I will tell you about
hopefully.
bears and elephants and some other animals too. And
Okay,
cats, obviously.
but
Something.
as that's proposition number one.
Yeah.
Proposition number two, because unlike animals, we are capable of reflecting on our mortality. The very
Don't
idea.
like doing it. Because we are capable of doing it, we don't like doing it.
We don't like doing it because, unlike animals, we know that we are going to die, and most of us, for the reason that escapes me, find the idea quite troublesome. That's why we often might want either to reflect on the purpose of our lives, or alternatively, we might want to forget everything about that altogether and instead do something that prevents us from all those troubling ideas. What's the purpose of my life? Why do I have to die?
What's the purpose of your life?
Is that the question?
Oh, you asked it.
Well, I asked it. As always, you only, again, as the one of the writers said, if there is a question, there's no answer. If there is an answer, there shouldn't be any questions.
No, that is not quite true. The answer and the question are part of one whole. So if you have a question, you have your answer inside it. Means if you are capable of asking the question, means you already have the understanding of the answer. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to ask it. Okay. Then again, the title is time. So just time.
And then
what do you
again,
expect to see? Is it about time or is it about not time?
Well, yes and no. Time might be just as mysterious as life and death issues. People often ask the question about time. What is it?
Yeah, what's the time? Like 20 past 3.
Oh,
What's time?
20 minutes. 20 minutes. Spent discussing time.
Well, you can spend a lot of time discussing time.
Yeah, and lots of jokes about time. And again, when you have a joke, you might say that you are only joking about time, or you are only joking about death because you're afraid of dying, or you're afraid of basically
the subject of
placing
joking,
yourself.
Of humor is also very deep, really. Why do we make jokes? Why? Because it's something
I don't
that
know, I
is
never make
catchy.
jokes. I never make jokes. Sorry.
Why do we read jokes? Why do we enjoy jokes? Because somehow it's catching us. There's something really deep which has to be transformed, like a, what's it called? Like if you have a Russian plug and you go to Britain, you need this adapter. So a joke is this adapter.
I'm told that you don't. My colleague says you just plug it in, you use force, and in it goes. That's it.
Don't use
That's what they say. if you're staying in a hotel, they want you to buy adapters or to rent adapters.
Well, actually, the British system is much better than here because it's safer. It's better for safety to have 3 holes than 2 holes. Well, anyway, that's
Yeah, they have the filling.
We have the filling. We have the filling. So a joke, but is it a joke here?
No, it's not a joke. There are some humorous pieces in the text. Overall, though, it's not a piece of humor. It is rather something serious. Again, I can only interpret the intonation and the writer's feelings as I understand them. I've never heard the song. Maybe the song is much more cheerful than what I get from it.
I tell you, it's like in a calm way. It's told in a calm way. Like, oh no! Not like that. And it's like, no, like that. Just like, okay, here are some facts.
Yeah, so it's again something that makes the facts open for reflection.
Okay, so. Taking away the moments that make up a dull day. What a cheerful beginning.
Oh yeah. The problem with time.
Is it working?
Yes, it is. It's been working for the last 16
Should better bet.
and a half.
Is it working for 18 minutes? Before it switches off. That's the problem with the cameras that don't have that red light in front, so you know that it's working.
It has got a red light in the back.
Yeah, which you can't see if it's facing you.
Flashing.
Okay, well, anyway. The moments that make up a dull day. So time is a big subject, and here we instantly narrow it to a specific problem. Ticking away, that's about time. So ticking away the moments that make up a dull day.
Again, a dull day means you don't really want all the time you have at your disposal. You have lots of time, you have somehow nothing to do. Maybe you have lots of things to do, but still, it's a dull day. So you don't really use the time in a way that makes it a beautiful day.
So we have lots of ideas in that, just one line. First of all, if you say the moments are ticking, it means you perceive them as something mechanical.
Yeah.
Tick-tock. Because people make clock. People pretend to break time into seconds, minutes, and that it's continuous. But it's only a representation of time, obviously.
Yeah, so it's made
Here,
something
ticking.
for convenience purposes only. And again, we often, it's not just ticking, it's ticking away.
Yeah, so but
And
if
ticking
he
away
says,
is much worse.
yeah, ticking
It ticks,
also
then it
means
works.
you can hear it. You can count it, you can hear it. Ticking is a constant noise, constant sound. So immediately it's something we can feel, something we can perceive. Just a moments go away, that's impersonal. But a ticking away is something that a human brain can understand well and imagine it.
On the other hand,
Mm-hmm.
it's highly likely then the moments are ticking away and we don't really pay any attention to that. We are technically capable, that's my favorite word today.
Yeah.
Unlike animals,
we
are
have
technically
watches, which are the greatest achievement of our civilization.
oh yeah, and
Douglas
we're
Adams
capable
used to
of
say.
measuring time. We're capable of measuring how much time has really escaped, but most of the time.
Most time we don't pay attention to time.
And it just ticks away, second by second, millisecond by millisecond.
Yeah, moments.
These
That make up a
moments.
dull day. So what we forget is like, a moment is not important. A moment is such a tiny little thing. Why would I care about this specific moment? I have big plans for today. I have big plans for this year. I have big plans for my life. I don't care about this moment. Which again brings us back to that old paradox of a sand pile. You know how you have a grain of sand, it's not a pile. You add another grain of sand, it's not a pile. So when do you have a pile of sand? That's the error here is to say that a grain of sand is nothing, but it's a very little thing. Same with the moment. Like, okay, I'll just spend 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. 10 minutes is not a long time, 5 minutes here, 3 seconds there. And eventually they make up this pile of sand, which make up a dull day.
A dull life.
Dull. Again, we set our reality here. We state what kind of world we describe in this poem, in this song. Yeah. Then again, time. It can be very different. In one, I don't remember, one book, anyway, they said that people perceive time differently according to their personality. So some people see time as sand. Yeah, you have those. Yeah. Or some people perceive time as water flowing. Or some people perceive time as something like clock mechanical. Or some people perceive it as a candle which is running out. So according to your personality. So here it's a mechanical word which measures your time very strictly. And so we have this opposition of something mechanical, measured, and this human attitude that, I don't really care.
I don't have time to care.
I don't have time to care. Yeah, so make up a dull day, which again is a paradox. I just watched a very interesting recording recently, which is called Obedience Experiment, in which basically you have a person and you tell them that she is participating in a memory experiment and that he plays a role of the teacher, and there's another person in another room who's supposed to give you answers, and if the answer is wrong you press the button and the person gets an electric shock, and each time you get a wrong answer from that person, you press the button, the person gets a shock, and each time it's a bit stronger. And the idea was to see if people would stop pressing the button when they come to high degree of electricity. They would hear the other person like shouting like, "No, let me out! I can't do it, it's horrible." Or in some cases they would see the person, sometimes they would have to touch the person, sometimes they would not hear or see the person, sometimes the experimenter would be present in the room, sometimes would not be. Well, anyway, and out of 100 people, how many do you think continued pressing the button? Out of 100?
Half.
Half.
50.
Yeah, 50%.
Really?
Really.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, but that guy, the guy who is in charge, he told me to continue. I didn't want to continue because and they like asked them afterwards, how do you feel? They're like, well, I feel fine, but what about that guy who was getting all the electricity? I'm concerned about him. Why? Because maybe he's dead, he stopped talking, or stopped making any sounds. It's like, why didn't you stop? Well, because he told me to continue. But why? Who was pressing the button? Who was pressing the button? Who was making that guy suffer? You. So same here. If your life is dull, then who is pressing the button? Who is pressing the button? You say, but it's not me. It's the government. It's society. It's my family. It's circumstances. It's life. It's who's pressing the button?
And it still works.
Wow.
Ticking the time away.
Wow. Good.
For 25 minutes now. Isn't that
brilliant? So if you say ticking away the moments that make up a dull day, so you have all those ideas in it. Why dull? Why not interesting? Why not happy? Who's pressing the button?
But then again, what do you answer? The person feels himself or herself to be a victim of the circumstances of what the society teaches him, her to do.
You have your own
Yeah.
little grey cells. You have your own field of magic. Because it's obviously it's easier to be a victim. I'm just a poor little victim, than to make an effort and do something. Yeah, you don't have to do something like forcefully. You can do it very lightly. A very light movement can change all of it. You can turn a river by placing a tiny little stone in a specific place. Yeah? But it does require an effort to feel it, to do it. Well, so taking away the moments that make up a dull day, frit and waste the hours in an offhand way. So now we had moments, a day, now hours. So moments build into days, into hours, frit and waste hours. So first you waste your seconds, moments. Now you frit and waste hours. So why fritter? What's a strange word in here? Fritter.
Because it's got a beautiful sound.
Yeah. Something frying. Fret, fritter. Yeah. Because fritter basically is the same as waste time. Fritter.
Yeah.
Frustrated, frying,
Yeah.
fretting.
But it obviously has something both funny and unimposing maybe about it. Waste something is at least within the sort of the rational framework. So if you are a rational person, you don't waste money, you don't waste time. If you are irrational, you waste money, you waste time.
That's
but
interesting.
fritter means something like sort of outside that framework, outside that paradigm. It's just like,
can you really waste time? So it's interesting because you said waste time, waste money. And you put the two ideas together because indeed, in our culture today, these two ideas are interconnected very tightly, which causes lots of problems really. Because it means...
That's what, if you're the teacher,
yeah.
and then ELT methodology books tell you, okay, how do you explain this concept to your students? You write time and you write money on the blackboard and you say, okay, what can you do with time? And then it emerges that all the verbs that go with time...
And it's not a coincidence that arises from this very idea, which starts with time is money, which was like...
yeah, that's
was
basically
one
the conclusion.
American who was an American president who said to be first to have said it. But basically, it's when you start having factories. Well, anyway, then you say you have 1 hour, so you sit here. Yeah, that's what you do. You sit here and you keep teaching them for 1 hour, even though you can see that they had enough. Well, no, so you have 15 minutes left. You sit here, you do for another 15 minutes, even though you see they're tired or they had enough, they can't get any more. So instead of just stopping 15 minutes earlier, which would be better for the students, now you sit there, you give them some other task and another task and another task. Or alternatively, you see that they need a bit more time. So you're, no, my time is over. I'm here for just 1 hour. So I see that you need another 10 minutes to do it, but I'm just leaving. That's what it does to education. When in a more relaxed system, like in the East, where they're more relaxed about time, you just do it less mechanically. If you see that you had enough for today, you just stop. If you see you need a bit more, you give a bit more. So in the end, it will balance itself one way or another. But that's not how it is with these ideas of wasting time. But anyway, here, taking away the moments that make up a dull day, free and waste the hours in an offhand way. So taking away the moments turn into free and waste the hours. Kind of the problem is growing in an offhand way. What's an offhand way? How can you waste your time in an offhand way?
Without noticing it, without worrying about it, perceiving it as something natural, something that...
So what they say is like it's a big problem because you're wasting your time, wasting your life is dull and you don't even notice. Yeah, offhand way.
Well, they're going casually, they're going to continue exploring that. It's not really true that you're not noticing it. You are.
Well, if you say my life is dull, then you are noticing it.
You are noticing it, and again...
But if you keep doing it, then you don't really care.
Well, if you keep doing it, you either don't really care or you don't know what to do in order to change it. If you are wasting time, again, using this concept of time
I will just
waste.
stick to it because that's what we use in this
Yes, that's what we use. Wasting time doesn't necessarily mean you are not, you don't treasure your time. It can mean something opposite. You treasure your time, you are very much pressed for time, but then you are so much, you are so tired, you are so stressed out that you have to work hard and you are paid by hour, and then you somehow waste your precious time doing something stupid, something dull, something you clearly understand. Isn't it what many people really do? They often work hard, and then while commuting, they spend minutes at least, browsing, what's the word? They spend minutes, if not hours, on social networking sites.
Let's not digress.
Okay.
Because we'll never get to the end. So an offhand way. So you waste your time. You don't care. You don't notice. You don't care because you don't understand it. Also, offhand is a bit like out of hand, out of your control. You can't do anything about it because you're not looking. Kicking around on a piece of ground, which is funny. Kicking around on a piece of ground in your hometown. So kicking around on a piece of ground is like how you can waste your time. Then again, kicking around. Kick what? Kick air? Kick ball? Kicking around, that's all this making movements. Kicking is a funny word. Kicking is this physical activity, kicking around, but at the same time it's like about nothing. On a piece of ground.
Playground?
Playground, a piece of ground, like a little bit. In your hometown. Why hometown? Maybe because your life is so dull, you're such a boring person and you never even travel. You were born here, you grow up here, you live here, and you have this tiny little piece of ground and you don't want to explore, maybe.
Well, do you travel because you are bored? Probably yes. So if you don't travel, it might be the case that you're not bored with where you are. So maybe if you are in your hometown and you're finding it, then you have something.
Maybe
you have something and your life isn't dull after all.
Maybe. But then waiting for someone or something to show you the way. So we have the word home here, which we come back to in the end, as we already know. So home is something static then. Home is where we are supposed to be, but if we look at it from like cultural point of view, mythological point of view, then home is always out of reach. It's the journey which is important. So if you're already at home, means you don't have this magic travel, means you're a bit stuck, waiting for someone or something to show you the way. So waiting again involves time. So you do nothing because you're hoping. A hope is a dangerous thing, obviously, because as long as you're hoping, you're not doing. You're not thinking for yourself, you're not acting, you're just
as long as you lose hope.
Time.
As long as you lose hope, again,
lose
that
your
prevents
hope.
you from happiness.
Okay. Waiting for someone or something to show you the way. So it can be a person, can be a thing. So again, we have these two sides of our reality, which is alive and thankful, let's say.
Alive and kicking.
Yeah, alive and kicking. And it's like, I don't even care if the signal comes from that side, someone, something, anything to show you the way. So again, we repeat the word way. We don't notice it because offhand way is like one concept, one word. And I will show you the way. It's not a concept song, but if you look at it, then you can see that we have the word way repeating. So we are looking for the way. We think about the way out, yeah, but we can't find it. Well, that's a bit of a problem here. Day, way.
And again, most of the time, we depend on someone or something to help us find our way.
Yeah.
Be it the map, be it the book, be it someone's guidance. And
again,
it's unavoidable, isn't it?
Is it? Well.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it takes us back to that obedience experiment, because that 50% of people were just waiting for the experimentator to tell them what to do. They're like, I don't think it's right. But they tell them, I tell you to continue. It's all right to continue. It's not bad. It's good. I'm responsible. So please keep pressing the electric button.
Yeah.
So waiting for someone or something to show you the way. So again, you're stuck. You can't find the way, you're just sitting in your hometown And you want, maybe, you want to start on your magic journey, but you're just kicking around on one piece of ground. So you're stuck to this little piece of ground. You can't leave it because you're waiting for someone to tell you to leave. Whose was it about the gatekeeper? Was it Kafka? Aye. So you're waiting. Why are we waiting? That's another big question. Because we are taught to. Because something in our culture is that's part of education, to wait for the teacher to tell you what to do. And if you do something on your own, it's not appreciated. What are you doing? What do you think you're doing? Did I tell you to do it? No, I told you to do your homework. Yeah.
Okay.
And that continues into grown-up life. Oh, now you wait for your boss to tell you what to do, as if you could have a boss. And now you're waiting for that. Now you go to a doctor who will tell you what to do. Now you go to some other guy to tell you what to do.
Okay. It's, as they say it in the West, delegating responsibility. I'm no longer responsible for all these major decisions. It's him, it's her who's responsible. Again, blaming the circumstances.
He told me to do it. Oh, the voices is in my head.
Yeah. On the other hand, it is often much easier because this sort of thinking usually enables you to press ahead and do what you are required to do, what you are supposed to do in your job. Maybe also in your life, at least in your student's life, very often that's often very true. You clearly see what the boundaries are. You never overstep these boundaries, and then you are emerging as a fine student who has done his job very well. You're emerging as a fine employee who's done his job very well. And if you try to explore what's behind the boundary,
what do you think you're doing?
Again,
Go away.
And
you're not my friend anymore.
very often
it's not science at all. Go away.
And you risk losing, wasting time doing that.
Yeah.
Instead of doing something you were told to do, instead of completing your well-defined task.
Yeah, so that's all this first stanza, like ticking away. How do you waste your hours? Waiting. Again, who's pressing the button? But it's kind of like programming, if I may use this idea. Programming in your head which tells you, no, you must have the permission, you must have it. Someone something to tell you to do it. Okay. Tired of lying in the sunshine, staying home to watch the rain. You're young and life's long and there's time to kill today. Tired of lying in the sunshine. So we have first line ticking away now. Tired of lying.
Well, the first stanza was very much, and the first line in the first stanza was mechanical, as you noticed. The second stanza introduces sunshine. It introduces something which is not really man-made. And it also introduces rain. Again, there's some space.
Well, that's interesting because you're tired of lying in the sunshine. So basically we say, sunshine, that's good. Lying in sunshine, relaxing, that's nice. But if you have too much of it, you're just tired. Tired of lying in the sunshine and then staying home to watch the rain.
Yeah,
again, rain, I don't like rain. Oh, I like rain, but like rain, Usually if you oppose sunshine and rain, then rain is something we don't like. And And the sun is something that we do like, but here it's all opposite. Kicking around, yeah. Then again, home. Home repeats, comes back. Hometown now, just home. Again, you don't go anywhere. You stay home. You watch the rain. Waiting, watching, it's all passive. It can be active, but not here lying. It's passive. Watch the rain. And you think for a difference. You're young and life is long and there's time to kill today. So who says it? How many people do we have in the poem?
Well, there's someone who ticks away, who's ticking away the moments. Maybe it's the same person in stanza 2 who gets tired of lying in the sunshine. And then there's the...
Pause, please. Okay. Staying home to watch the rain. How heroic. You're young and life is long, there's time to kill today. So we have the narrator and we have basically I and you. The narrator and you, they refer to. Yeah.
Yeah.
So who says you're young and life is long, there's time to kill today? Is it the narrator's point of view?
No, it's not the narrator's point of view. The narrator points an accusing finger at you, the other person in the poem, and says, okay, you think you are young. Okay, you think life is long. You think there's time to kill today.
So, as opposed to the first stanza, which is like time is mechanical, it's just ticking. Here we have another idea of time, to kill time. So time is alive. If you can't kill what is not alive. So that's two different approaches to the idea of time. Kill time. Again, we say these things, we don't think about it too much.
Yeah, but kill is a violent word, and killing time is a much more violent act than just wasting time. You waste time as you waste this sand passing through your fingers, again if you use that metaphor. Well, you can't do much about it, it just happens. But if you kill time, you do it on purpose.
Yeah. A game of chess is nice and fine, a splendid way of killing time, as the tiger said. Okay. So yeah, here it's like you are. It implies that you're responsible for it. Called the moments are ticking away just by themselves. Waste hours in an offhand way. Okay, that kind of.
And again, you're sort of responsible and irresponsible at the same time. So you are assuming responsibility for killing the time. You're not assuming your responsibility for doing something else with your life. Kill. That's what you can do.
Time. There is no time. There is time. There is time to kill today. Then again, it takes us back to the beginning, same as you have moments making up hours, making up days. So same here. There's time to kill today. Your days turn into your life. You're young and life is long. There's time to kill today. Again, it means same as you don't really value your seconds. You don't value your hours. Here, you don't value your whole days. You forget that's life. Not something that you're...
As a matter of experiment, they decided to keep the other girl which is even much better.
Yeah, because they have lots of happy children there.
Yeah, happy grown-up children.
So in John Lennon's words, life is what happens to you when you're busy making plans. Precisely, yeah. You're young and life is long and there's time to kill today. So it's like talking from this point of view, not the narrators. Because we can see that the narrator does not approve it. How? Because we have all those words that imply that he's not happy. Free to waste, dull day. Yeah.
And also because we have read the entire stanza, and as we reread it now, we know that line 2 is going to be contrasted by line 3, which tells us a much sadder story.
Yeah.
Now in line 2 you're young, but 10 years later,
and you never noticed, because you made this mistake of the sand pile. If you say that a grain of sand, a second, it's nothing, then nothing to nothing is nothing. You forget that it's a little thing. You say it's nothing, then your hour is nothing. Then your day is nothing. Then your life is nothing. And we don't care because we think life is long. No, it's not true. We think life will never end. Memento mori, which is why we need it, to be reminded again and again, because deep inside we think, I will never die. He will, she will, they will. They're just somebody else's, someone else. But me, I am me, number one. I will never die. Yeah. And then you can allow yourself to waste time. You can allow yourself to waste hours and days and weeks because you think you have an infinite supply. You have infinite supply of time and life. If you have an infinite supply, then obviously you can waste as much as you like. But you don't. You don't have an infinite supply. That's what they show here. How seconds, moments make up hours, make up days, make up life. And then, oh surprise, 10 years got behind you. Then you just might start scratching your head like, 10 years? Oops. Oh, there's a nice crowd. Hello? There's a crowd coming to listen to some poetry. You scared it away. Then one day you find 10 years have gone behind you. So, where were you 10 years ago? Where were you 10 years ago?
Who? The crowd?
Yeah, you, the crowd. Where were you 10 years ago? Were you like the same, very different? Not in your position, but in who you are. Was it a long time ago, 10 years ago, or was it a short time ago?
Well, it was a long time ago. If you think how much has changed, it was a short time ago if I perceive many things that seem to
Okay,
happen.
let's say in personal time, not in relative time, in personal
yesterday.
time. Yeah. Because we have relative time and we have personal time. Yeah, relative time is like all the planet, the universe, the sun going around. And personal time is how we feel about it, what happens to us personally. And that is not the same. As we all know, waiting for a bus can be longer for us than the same 15 minutes spent doing something interesting. So that's really personal time. So in your personal time, 10 years ago, was it a long time ago? Was it not a long time ago? Was it like yesterday?
It was as if it were an entirely different world, entirely different system. Do you have entirely different time systems in other galaxies?
Of course you do.
And it was not a galaxy.
Yeah, it's another galaxy. Then one day you find 10 years who got behind you. It's like, have you been to Egypt? Yeah, I just went there recently. When? Well, in fact it was 10 years ago. Oops. Yeah.
Did you go to Egypt 10 years ago?
One day you find 10 years who got behind you. Then again it's funny because one day and 10 years come together. One day, 10 years in one line, they come together, then a day can be like 10 years, or 10 years can be like one day. When you put them together, they affect each other. And here you can see that it's the case when 10 years are like one day. So again, on one hand you just say one day, like one time eventually, and at the same time you say one day and 10 years, so you compare them. One day you find 10 years who got behind you. We are talking about days and moments and hours, and suddenly it's years who got behind you. No one told you when to run. You missed the starting gun. So it's again the correlation with the ending line of the first stanza. You're waiting for someone to tell you where to go, what to do, and now you missed it. You missed the starting gun. No one told you when to run. Which again is an interesting image of a life. Life as a competition, running,
a
starting
race.
gun. Then again, a starting gun, it can be just another ticking sound, or we can connect it with killing time. So then gun becomes dangerous. It's a starting gun, but you missed it. Now it's another kind of gun. And no one told you. Waiting for someone to show you, to tell you, but no one told you when to run. But then again, why do we have this idea of a meaningful life as running in a competition? That's again a problem. The same as with time is money, waste time, lose time. The same here, life is a competition where you need to run and run and run.
Yeah, because there's something which awaits you at the end of that race. And there's sort of a prize you are running for. Then the question is it worth it? The question is are you better off spending
well, again, that's
your
a question
life, your time?
Of how do you perceive your lifetime and what is the idea? If your idea is just to get lots of money for the sake of getting lots of money, then that's your idea. If your idea is to enjoy this time, to walk through and to see that there is the finish is where you eventually get. That's the conclusion. Yeah? That's this ultimate point which reflects all you have done. Then maybe you act a bit differently.
The good thing about running is, as you run,
You're not
work
kicking
hard.
around on a piece of ground.
You're not kicking around. There's no time for you to reflect, to stop and to think. You see your target, you run towards it, and again, you can easily measure the distance that remains. And that's, again, often means sort of wasting time, killing killing your life eventually.
Killing your life. So life as here, told you when to run, you miss the starting gun. It's a game. It's not real, it's a game. You're just running for the sake of running, for the sake of getting some prize. Then again, it's a competition, because you don't run on your own, but then you don't need a starting gun. And running, again, like running in a wheel.
Yeah, and if it is a competition, you're not on your own. There are other competing. There are others competing with you.
And then you forget that it's originally a game.
And you always think of the others. Again, it's not you who decides where you are heading. Yeah? It's someone who stages the race. It's the other runners, your competition, that more or less determine your path. Again, you're not doing it, you're not running your life. It's somebody else who runs
your life.
Runs, ruins.
Yeah, so no one told you when to run, you missed the starting gun. And you run to catch up with the sun, but it's sinking. Racing around to come behind you again. So now, as you realize, suddenly something happens that tells you, no, actually you do not have an infinite supply of time. Your life here in this bodily form is finite, actually. Oh, well, we know it, but we kind of don't want to think about it. Suddenly we realize it. One day you find 10 years have gone behind. What do I do? Oh, blimey. And what you do, you try to catch up with it. With that time you just wasted. You run and you miss the starting gun. Everybody's away. And you need to catch up with them. You run and you run. So you make a lot of effort now to catch up with the sun. Oh, what a strange idea. Can you ever catch up with the sun?
No, not really.
But it's sinking. Oops. So, if the sun is sinking, then what time is it?
Evening.
So now we have a game, the same as before. Life as a day, and morning, daytime, evening, death, night. You can see the sun sink, not just going down, but sinking. So why sinking? Why not going down?
Well, going down is neutral. It might be even peaceful.
Sinking
instead of going to bed. Sinking
is disaster.
Is a disaster.
Yeah, like a sinking.
It spells disaster.
Yeah, it's a disaster.
Well, 17 minutes.
Okay. So, ticking away. Tick it, tick it, tick it, tick it, tick it, tick it, tick it. Sinking.
Where's the cloud? Where's the cloud?
Crown must be on the other side of reality. Well, anyway, so we see our life coming to an end. The sun is going down. That's the end of our life, and we run to catch up with it. Yeah, because we can see that now our life is coming to an end. We need to do something, and we panic and we run, but it's sinking. Racing around to come up behind you again. So what was behind you before? in the poem, in the lyrics. 10 years have got behind you, and now the sun racing around to come up behind you again. So again we have this connection between the sun and time and wasted time.
But then if you imagine it, you are running very fast, racing to catch up with the sun. The sun is sinking and you are successful. You are ahead of the sun is left behind you. And then suddenly you realize you are no longer alive. You are no longer where the sun is.
So interestingly, the sun is also racing, also participating in the race, racing around. You are kicking around. The sun is racing around. So again, around, going in circles that loop, racing around to come up behind you again. So you want to catch up with the sun in front of you. You can't do it because it's behind you now. And you can only run forward in this picture. Because we kind of tend to believe in linear time in our culture, which is obviously one of the ideas of time. We can have circle time, we can have multi-time, we can have linear time, we can have
a spiral,
we can have a timey-wimey time, which is my favorite. Timey-wimey. Well, so what is the sun like? The sun is
какой-то набор. Так прикольно,
it's very common, I don't like.
какое крутое время живем. Вот реально.
Time and life issues.
Yeah, I know it's economically speaking. The sun is the same in a relative way, but you're older. Which is strange or not strange, because you compare yourself with the sun. And the sun is something here, something that more or less stable, eternal.
Yeah.
But you're older.
Yes,
No, I'm not older. I'm young and life is long. Oops, 10 years. How is the sun is the same in a relative way?
The sun remains.
Now it's behind
You're
you, but it's
competing
the
with the
same.
sun, it's behind you, but it's the same, while you are not, in a relative way. It's not
What's a relative way?
relative to
Is
whom?
it Einstein
Relative to you.
again? Any old Einstein theory of relativity can be applied here in a relative way. Maybe just relatively to you, because if the sun is eternal, then it doesn't mean it can't change a little bit within its frame, let's say. But you're older, you change a lot. You're older, shorter of breath, one day closer to death. Which again, we don't like to think about. Like, oh, it's the evening, what does it mean? Oh, it means I'm one day closer to death. Good job. Or like, oh, happy birthday, another year closer to death, hooray! So we like to think of it in a more positive way, like, phew, another day I'm still alive, phew, good. Maybe we don't think about it at all. Shorter of breath, now breath comes here, breath obviously is important. Shorter of breath, on one hand because you run and run, now you're short of breath, then again breath is life. Your life is shorter. Shorter of life force.
Yeah, one thing many older people keep telling is that they often congratulate themselves in the mornings.
Yeah.
There's still a day ahead of them.
Which technically...
You see it as as you,
as something given for granted.
yeah,
Yeah.
while they perceive it more or less as a miracle.
It is a miracle.
It's a gift.
Every time
It's a gift. It's
miracle.
given to you. It's a
Yeah.
it's your gift.
Yeah. It's just we don't value it. It's like if you look at like prayers in different religions, and very often you see it like, oh, thank you God for letting me wake up in the morning, because so many people don't. So many people never woke up in the morning. I did. Hooray, thank you so much.
Then again,
And then again, this issue of people being suddenly mortal. Where was it from? Like, yeah, people are mortal, but that's not the issue. The issue that they're suddenly mortal.
yeah. Beware of the traps.
One day closer to death. Shorter breath, one day closer to death. Again, we don't like to think about it, but it's true. So same as you have your birthday, then somewhere in the year there's a death day, your death day, which you live through. You never know, or sometimes you do know. Some people do know. Some people know when they're going to die. Not the year maybe, but what time of year, or what month. There was one Russian writer. Who was it? One of the Silver Age something, the immigrant age. Well, anyway, he was saying he was going to die from a Decembrite, which is, he says, an illness which comes in December. And he did die in December. He knew it all his life, and all those sages, they often know when they're going to die too.
Oh, again, there was a poet who was not a Silver Age poet, but he was on this side of the border, who wrote the lines to the effect, I'm going to die during the coldest day of January, when this famous religious holiday is celebrated, and something like that. And that's where he died, and he got killed.
Yeah. Oops. So basically, I believe it's obviously a very powerful node in your
Still there.
in your being. Then of course you can feel it. Of course you can know it, but you don't want to. You prefer to noise it. You prefer not to hear it. You prefer to turn a blind eye to it, while if you're a poet, then you're sensitive. You can't afford yourself not being sensitive if you're a poet. Or if you're one of those monks or sages, for real, then that's basically the idea of your practice, to be more sensitive about such no things. And then of course you can feel it and you can know it. We all can feel it, we all can know it, but we don't like to think about it. We don't like to feel it because obviously it freaks us out. As long as we are alive within the living frame of being, then obviously death is horrible because it's opposite. The opposite is horrible because it's opposite, not because it's horrible. So we try not to think about it, I guess. Shorter breath and one day closer to death. Happy lines, always thinking. Good. Good? Any good?
So far so good. Let me see. Well, it says 28. Maybe the time limit
Maybe.
is 30 minutes.
Maybe.
Then,
Time.
yeah. Then there's an alternative. We can wait and find out.
You can restart
Or we
it
can
because,
restart it.
it would be a big file anyway. So you can restart it and forget about it. So one day you find 10 years ago behind you, and one day closer. Well, thank you. That's our dear MCHS. It tells us we are one day closer to death.
Oh.
Thank you. Yeah. How nice of you.
That's nice.
Nice of them. Well, anyway. Every year is getting shorter. Never seem to find the time. Plans that either come to naught or half a page of scribbled lines. So we continue talking about years. So 10 years behind you. And now shorter breath, and years are getting shorter. So it's like years now, the cycle of years becomes the cycle of breath. And it's connected. How you breathe, how you live, how your time, personal time flows. Well, how can every year be getting shorter? Isn't it the same number of days, minutes and seconds?
Oh yes, that's what your clock or your watch is supposed to tell you. That's what your calendar is going to tell you. For you personally though, it might be different, and it's a common experience. As you get older, years seem to be shorter. Years seem to be running much quicker. A time when you are a small boy or a small girl, it seems, again, you have all life.
You're young and life is long.
Yes.
You have time to kill today, which means you feel like you have lots of time.
And lots of time also means
how it's shrinking dramatically.
So I'm going somewhere, and I can't wait till that little cartoon on TV in the evening seems to be a life away.
Yeah. So we start with this feeling of lots of time, which we can waste, we can kill.
Yeah.
And now suddenly there's a point which changes
and
it.
Yet,
And then there's no time.
Metaphorically, we often say, well, it was as if it were yesterday. So it was yesterday, but it was 10 years ago, or maybe 20 years ago.
Well, that's because as we think about it, we, as I said, we are tuned into that specific modality, which is the same as in that situation. Then, if it matches this modality today, then it's not time, there's modality, there's a number of modalities, if we can say. So, if we have this lesson and it's a specific modality, then as you turn into this modality, then you can say, the previous lesson was like yesterday, because there were no other similar experiences in between. While if you have something other which you have more often, then you say, that is a repeated modality.
Yeah, or something can happen in between, and then
it doesn't count. If you have a strong different modality, like going for a holiday, it's the same modality, I suppose. You don't have anything in between which is the same as that modality. So you say, between that holiday and that holiday, it's like, nothing.
Hasn't it happened to you sometimes that you feel something in the air, feel something in the air, you smell something, or you see the leaves falling, or something else? Yes, and you are suddenly reminded of something which was happening basically at the same time last year, or 2 years ago, or maybe 3 years ago. So these, if you use the concept of modality, does the arrival of autumn act as a trigger that triggers your
because it triggers your current modality to the modality you used to have back then. Again, if you believe in linear time.
Yeah, and you sometimes remember things you never really wanted to remember. You never really thought were stored somewhere in your
Well,
memory.
nothing is forgotten. That's a well-known fact. Okay. I never seem to find the time. Then we have time to waste, time to kill. Now time says, okay, that was enough. Enough is enough. I'm living. Oh, you can't find it. Never seem to find the time. Why would you treat it like that? Plans that either come to naught or half a page of scribbled lines. So again, plans. How can you have plans? If you believe again in immortality, if you believe that you are the master of this universe, then you can have plans. And now plans come to naught. Nothing. Yeah? Or half a page of scribbled lines. So what is it about half a page of scribbled lines? Yeah, maybe you feel like, I should do something. You panic, then you can't write. Because the more you panic, the less you're able to do something intelligent. Obviously. Or that's your plans. What happens to your plans? They just go, scribbled lines. And again, lines, linearity, which gets scribbled. You say, no, but wait a second, wait a moment. I thought time was linear. I thought that you had that many days in a year and that many hours in a day. It doesn't seem to work anymore. Your line, your timeline, your nice, neat timeline becomes all scribbled. Or comes to naught at all. No time, never seem to find time, naught. Hanging on in quiet desperation is the English way. Is it just the English way?
And then there's way again. We're talking about way, away and ways.
Yeah, way again. Hanging on in quiet desperation. So it's like you understand now that you have wasted too much of your time. And you can't change it, you can do nothing. That's how you feel. It's not necessarily true, but that's how you feel. You're in desperation. It's a quiet desperation. Again, it's passive. You don't rebel, you don't try to do anything about it. You're just paralyzed like that little rabbit on the highway by the lights of the coming car.
Oh, thank you.
Hanging on in quiet desperation.
In the English way. On the English way.
Yeah. It's like bright eyes. So that's the result, because what you practice is what you get. And if you practice kicking around and waiting for someone and wasting your time, that's what you get. You don't have experience, you don't have skills, you don't have this qualification to act differently. You never did anything, you just waited for someone, for something. Now you don't know what to do. You're just hanging on in quiet desperation. It's the English way, which is like, okay, it's an English band, so we know all about it. It is an English way. The time is gone. The song is over. I thought I had something more to say. Which is a really funny closing line. So first you have lots of time, then you kill it. And as you kill it, you can't find it. You can't find it, there is no time. The time is gone. Where is time? It used to be here. Yeah. There's no time. The time is gone. The song is over. Thought I had something more to say. So here it's very funny because it becomes self-reflective. The song is over, this song is over. Not just your song as life is over, but also this song as a song is over. Yeah, I thought I had something more to say. Again, who is speaking? Is it the narrator who wrote the song? It's like, I thought I had something more to tell you, but oops. It's not just your time that is over, and my time as well. Or maybe it's the same person. You're talking to yourself. Or maybe again it's from you point of view. Maybe. So I thought I had something more to say. So we're breaking this fourth wall a little bit here. So saying that's the end of the song. That's not the end of the discussion though. So now we have nothing. First we have a plenty, but we just wasted. Now we have nothing. Home, home again. I like to be here when I can. So on one hand that's positive. It's nice to be home. Then again, home, hometown. Where was home again? There was not home.
Oh, line 3, stanza 1, in your hometown.
Staying home to watch the rain.
Yes.
So now home, home again. I like to be here when I can. So home, home again. On one hand, again, it's nice to be home. It's your place. At the same time, it means it's the end of the journey. Yay! It's the end of your journey. Because home is static. It's like in jazz. If you come home, then you're dead. That's what all jazz is about. Brainy jazz. Home again, I like to be here when I can. So it means usually I'm not home. If it's just physical home here, then it means I'm busy running around, wasting my time trying to catch up with these opportunities I missed. When I can, means not often. It means that here home is not my main base. Usually I'm somewhere else, but I like to be here when I can. But if it's a home which is like where we all come from, means it's finished again. So home, home again, I like to be here when I can. When I come home cold and tired, it's good to warm my bones beside the fire. Oh. I come home cold and tired. So home is nice indeed. It's warm, it's where you can relax. But if you're cold and tired, that's from outside. That's all running in the rain makes you cold and tired. It's good to warm my bones beside the fire. Who can say it? Who can say it? Sounds like an old person. My bones warming my poor old bones beside the fire. So we had the sun, now we had fire. So it's more private, it's small, it's closed. It's nice, it's warm. But that's kind of the end of the song. So what's the relationship between the first 4 stanzas and this different bit? I thought I had something more to say. That's the end of that song, and then we changed this point of view. That first part was told a bit from a side by the narrator. I look at you, that's what I see, because I can see it in myself too. And now it's this person who was looked at, the speaking, apparently, because that song is over. I like to be here when I can, so this I appears. I thought I had something more to say the first time when we have I, before we had you. And now this I develops. When I come home cold and tired, it's good to warm my bones beside the fire. And again, bones, something inside your body, something that is left after you die. beside the fire. Again, bones, fire, a bit of ash to put in the ground. Far away across the field, the tolling of the iron bell calls the faithful to their knees to hear the softly spoken magic spell. Far away across the field, the tolling of the iron bell. So interestingly, this tolling always comes from far away, as in that other poem we read another time. It's like, it's far away, it's not about me, but it's coming. So on one hand you have this distance, you distance yourself. At the same time you can hear it, it can reach you, no problem. And that's coming back to our friend John Donne and...
For whom?
Yeah, and for whom? Far away across the field. Why field?
Something big?
Something big, empty,
Open?
open, maybe. And maybe it's like the field is where you have graves in this context.
Yeah.
Across.
Or the ground. Where you begin by kicking around.
And then you go into it. The tolling of the iron bell. Tolling means it's a funeral. You toll the bell when it's funeral. Iron bell. Why iron?
Cold. Distancing.
Maybe. Iron. Irony. Maybe that's the irony here. Calls the faithful to their knees to hear the softly spoken magic spell. So that last bit can be read very differently depending on your position, whether you believe in religion or whether you do not believe in religion or whether you really do believe in religion. So if you just believe in religion, you say, call the faithful to their knees to hear the softly spoken magic spell. It's like, well, yeah, that's how it happens. It's good. It's what you're supposed to do. If you don't believe, then you say, it's faithful, it's like stupid. They come to their knees for nothing. It's just magic spell, it's a fairy tale, moonshine. They're wasting their time. Or else you can say, yeah, it is like a spell. It's a magic spell, it's not just words. And it's soft. So we have all this panic and all this desperation, all this running around, all this racing, and finally we have to something open and big and calm. Because the field is calm, the tolling is slow, it's calm again. It calls the faithful to their knees, coming down to hear the softly spoken magic spell. It's softly spoken, it's soft. That's where we finish. Yeah. Is that where we finish?